Hey everybody, it's Max J. Miller, co-author with Robert Hollis of the upcoming How Is That Working? And a few days ago I was talking about the beginning of How Is That Working, how Robert had discovered through a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill a few basic principles of achievement. Napoleon Hill laid out this formula and said, you got to have a definite purpose, a clear purpose. You got to have also a deep desire, a profound desire to fulfill on that purpose. You got to have plans. You got to have a determination, or as I was discussing for several days, a faith. And determination on the outside is driven by that internal faith, or just that place Robert calls a pop, where you just come to, this shall be. It's going to be this way. And then the last one is a success consciousness, which usually results from being mentored by somebody, because most of us in the everyday world don't have much of a success consciousness. We have a lot of self-doubt and ideas and beliefs that really limit us. And so I was talking about these 5 principles, and it made me think about the introduction to my earlier book, which is called How Do You Know That? And so for the last 4 days I've read from the introduction of How Do You Know That? And it kind of brings me full circle, because it raises a couple of questions. The introduction raises a few questions, and one of those questions is, what is a hero? We're talking about how these great stories that inspire us, movies, novels, that really live with us a lifetime, all have this pattern of telling the story of a hero's journey, someone who left a familiar world and went off into a world of adventure, and that was new and different and exciting and challenging, and they discovered something. Joseph Campbell said they got to a source of power. They discovered about themselves and so forth. And when they come full circle and they come back after these adventures, back to their home or back into their community or the world that they left, they bring with them, and into that community, they bring some new life and new energy and new vitality, and they revitalize it. And so I came full circle reading that to you, and realized that there were a few other things that I really wanted to say about what a hero is, and because I think we can get sometimes a little too lofty about it. So this is what I wrote in the first chapter, just a few lines from the first chapter of that book about this issue. What makes a person a hero? It's true that some heroes seem to possess special gifts and talents. Other heroes seem to have developed an extraordinary measure of human qualities like courage and determination. These characteristics, however, describe some heroes, but not all. The common thread among heroes may actually seem too obvious to mention. Heroes are up to something. A person becomes distinguished as a hero by being fully engaged in the fulfillment of a vision, a purpose, or a dream that enhances or in some way contributes to life. A hero's charisma and vitality reflect the youthful quality of children as they playfully but earnestly immerse themselves in their imaginative games. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus recognized this as authentic self-expression. He said, "Man is most nearly himself when he achieves the seriousness of a child at play." So if you find that this quality, that quality of just engaged freedom and excitement and enthusiasm is missing from your life, it may just be that you're not in touch with a dream of what you want your life to be up to. Now, I know I addressed very specifically people who don't have a real clear sense of purpose in their life. But I want to give you something out of one of the great stories everybody knows the beginning of the Bible story, Adam and Eve, right? And most people know that the end of the Bible is this book called the Revelation of John. And mostly they think of, fire and brimstone and apocalypse and all of that. But it actually ends with this wonderful image of the fully formed city of Jerusalem coming down from heaven as if through the clouds. And this person who's describing this revelation of John, this person is saying, I saw this new heaven coming down, this new Jerusalem coming down, fully formed out of heaven to the earth. And in this vision, he describes everything about it in great detail, and it's all measured out and so forth, and it's full of symbolism. But finally, when he describes the interior, he describes that there's a river winding through it. And he said, on the sides of this river is the tree of life. Now, the language is a little weird because it says on both sides of the river was the tree of life, singular. And then it says, and they were all along the river, and these trees had 12 types of fruit. And so there was a fruit for every month. In other words, they were constantly flourishing. Then it says one more really fascinating thing. And it says, and the leaves of the tree of life were for the healing of the nations. Now, once upon a time, I had a vision about what this meant. What is this imagery about? Because it's really profound, beautiful imagery. This whole, finished heaven on earth, this city of Jerusalem where all the people live together, and it goes on to describe how there wasn't any nighttime anymore because the Lamb is the light and so forth. It's this great, spectacular imagery, but here it's saying the leaves of the tree of life were for the healing of the nations. And what I imagined is if the tree of life, just as this whole building, this whole new Jerusalem that comes down for all of humanity to live in together, was a completed thing, the heaven on earth, the utopia, whatever you want to call it. And then it says, and the leaves were for the healing of the nation. If you think of the tree of life then as, and this is just how I conceived it, as the work of God complete. Or another way of putting it is was given by another transformation guru of the 70s and 80s, a man named Werner Erhard, and he said that the possibility of possibilities is a world that works for everyone with no one and nothing left out. And I found that idea very inspiring, and what I saw was these leaves, and by the way, leaves in Greek and a lot of ancient languages are also the term which is used for written word. These are called leaves. In other words, pages also. The word is the same. And so what I envisioned was each of these leaves was just some piece of, some element of what a world that works for everyone would entail. So a world that works for everyone, and one leaf, you pull it off and everyone has shoes. So that's my calling. My vision for life is everyone has shoes. Somebody else picks a leaf off of this tree, the tree that represents a world that works for everyone with no one and nothing left out. And this one takes a leaf, and this leaf is, every child wakes up to breakfast. And now some of them don't have to be so lofty. What if your dream is to be an Olympic athlete? Well, that works into a world that works for everyone as well. But everybody can find themselves in that vision for a world that works for everyone. And I share with you this one great little quote from a guy named Frederick Buechner, and he wrote, "The place God calls you is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet." And so I suggest to you that you just explore a little bit. And by the way, most of the heroes, as I've said in the past, don't start out with a clear sense of purpose. And Napoleon Hill acknowledged that as well. You start out with only an inkling or only a drive of some kind and discovered along the way. And in the great literature, the heroes don't always start out, I'm going to be a hero. They start out on some adventure for the hand of the maiden, or whatever, and they discover themselves along the way. So I just want to encourage you to start thinking, if there was a world that worked for everyone, what's your little piece of it? What's your little slice of it that you'd like to be a stand for? And you say, this shall be, the way that Napoleon Hill says, you must be determined and have faith for. What would that be for you? And I want to explore that with you some more. I know I've gone a little longer than I have on many of my other videos, but I hope this has gotten you your juices stirring and stimulated a little bit, and I hope you'll interact with me on my fan page here. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.